Welcome students to SV Union High School and Junior College Standard 6 English Lesson 2.2 The Worth of a Fabric. Introduction. Tiruvalluvar is celebrated Tamil poet and philosopher. The Tamil poet Mamulanar of Sangam period mentioned that he was the greatest scholar in the Nanda dynasty of the north, which ruled till the 4th century. His book of teachings, Tirukural, is considered to provide a guide for human morals and betterment in life. The story, The Worth of a Fabric, is written by the great Tamil saint poet who lived around 2000 years ago. Tiruvalluvar is the story eventually explains to a young man the importance of hard work. He also explains that tardiness and ignorance can prevent a person from living his life to the fullest, thereby rendering it useless. The story also tells us that one should be calm in all situations. It helps you to choose the right path in all situations. Tiruvalluvar wore beautiful fabrics. He never lost his temper. There was a young man who was very rich and thought he was too smart. One day he tried to make Valluvar angry, picking up a beautiful piece of fabric and tearing it into pieces. He was surprised that Tiruvalluvar smiled instead of getting angry. Instead, he explained to the rich young man how long it had taken to make the fabric, and when the fabric was destroyed, the love and the labor that went into making the fabric were destroyed. He explained that if ever life were torn apart, it would be destroyed forever. The young rich man learnt a lesson and gave up his bad ways. So now we follow the lesson, The Worth of a Fabric. Tiruvalluvar was a great Tamil saint poet who lived more than 2000 years ago. Tirukural is the book of his teachings. It is greatly loved and respected even today. Tiruvalluvar was a textile weaver. He wore beautiful fabrics and saris and sold them in the market. People said that he never got angry, never used bad words, never shouted at anyone. In the same town, there lived a rich young man. He wasted most of his time roaming around with his friends. They often made fun of other people. I don't believe what people say about this Varval, said the young man one day. I am sure I can make him angry. Come on, let's have some fun today. So the arrogant young man approached Tiruvalluvar in the market and picked up a beautiful piece of fabric. How much does this whole fabric cost? He asked. 8 coins. The saint named the price. The young man unfolded the fabric and tore it into 2. What's the price of this fabric now? 4 coins, the saint answered politely. The youth was taken back. Why doesn't this man get angry? He thought. He then tore the half piece into half again. And now 2 coins was the answer. Now it was the young man who became impatient and agitated. He tore the pieces into half again and again, saying, And now, what's the price now? Tiruvalvar calmly went on reducing the price to half every time. At last, the fabric was reduced to rags. So, Tiruvalvar said in a quiet tone, "Now this fabric has become worthless. I will not name any price for these rags." The young man did not know what to say, but he was proud of his riches. So he offered to pay 8 coins to the saint. For the first time, Tiruval smiled, but he refused to take the money. "Young man, now this fabric is of no use. It has become worthless." "Why?" "Because no one will be able to wear it now." Do you know, the fabric was not made in a day. Many people have toiled to make it. The farmer who grew cotton in his field worked hard for months through sun and rain. He picked cotton from each boll and gave it for spinning. Then someone else carded the cotton and spun it into long uniform threads. The threads were dyed carefully so that they could took on these lovely colors. My wife and I wove the threads together, putting in beautiful design. We thought someday someone will like this fabric, will be happy to wear it. Then all our work would be rewarded. When you destroyed the fabric, you destroyed all the love and the labor that went into its making. Money cannot bring it back. The soft spoken words touched the young man's heart. Now he was really ashamed of himself. And do you know, Tiruvalvar went on to say, "I can weave another fabric like this. But our life is also like this fabric. If you tear it apart with hasty, thoughtless actions, it will be destroyed and you will not get it back again." Tiruvalvar's words opened the young man's eyes. There and then he decided to give up his idleness and bad habits. Description of a great saint and poet, Tiruvalvar. Tiruvalvar was a great saint, poet who is loved and respected even today. People said that he never got angry, never used bad words, and never shouted at anyone. He was polite, calm, and used a quiet tone even in the most infuriating situations. Description of the rich young man. In the same town there lived a rich young man. He wasted most of his time roaming around with his friends. They often made fun of other people. He was arrogant to no bounds and decided to test the patience of Tiruvalvar, which was an unethical thing to do. Despite his egotistical behavior, he listened to the words of the Tiruvalvar carefully and put them to use, thereby changing his idleness and bad habits. The fabric woven by Tiruvalvar. The fabric wasn't made in a day. Many people toiled in order to make it. The farmer who grew the cotton in his field worked hard for months through sun and rain. He picked cotton from each bowl and gave it for spinning. Then someone else carded the cotton and spun it into long uniform threads. The threads were dyed carefully so that they looked on lovely colors. Tiruvalluvar's wife and he then wove the threads together, putting in beautiful designs. Papermaking process is a trendiest job. The raw material, wood, is got from the forest. Then the next step is the debarking, chipping and the screening of the raw material. Later on, cooking of the raw material into pulping. The pulp is then washed and later on it's put into the paper machine for manufacturing paper, the finished product, and then sent to the consumer. The processing of paper. The raw material is got from the forest to the paper mill, then to the converter. Converting, printing is done. The industrial waste is taken to the waste paper depot. Later, from the converter, the product is taken to the shops and the customers buy the paper products. Later on, they use the paper products in the various ways. The waste goes to the paper bank. Thank you.